Look what arrived on the front porch the other day. My Commodore 64 Ultimate Beige has shown up. So this is what's next. All right, it is the holiday season, so yes, I have my little tiny tree up. And I have to say, I'm probably as giddy as I was when I got my first Commodore 64. I have been looking forward to this since the announcement earlier this year. It arrived, I had no clue if there was an email. Maybe it ended up in my junk, I don't know. But this is it. This is the beige version. I figured what we'll do today is we'll get this unboxed, take a look at the contents, how it's packaged, and then we're going to see if this is a quick drop-in replacement to my original Commodore 64, and maybe even do some comparisons of the box and the unit itself. Later this week, we'll do a more in-depth review of this product, so get subscribed. Let's get this unboxed. I tell you, this is a tight fit. All right, here we go. Oh, nice. Nice, very reminiscent of the original box. Here's the original. There is the new one. You can see that this one's a little bit taller, not as long, this is longer, but I love what they did here. This is kind of cool. So we have a picture of the device, the computer, the beige, and I believe this is, I think, on all the boxes. I could be incorrect on that assumption. Commodore 64 Ultimate, retro gaming, modern power. We have kind of the, the graphics that you would have seen when this first came out in the mid to late 80s. There is the Commodore quality seal of approval, Commodore computer. And then on the top here, we have this image showing one of the translucent computers. Compatible monitor, disk drive, tape drive, and humans not included. A little bit of fun there. And there is the back of the box. Your data, not big data. BBSs, not social media. Study, not scrolling. And fun, not feeds. Again, part of what the release of this unit was to get back to the basics. Get away from social media. Get away from the internet and really just play around with a computer, and I think that's great. All right, on the side here we have our control ports, power switch, power connector, cartridge slot, audio out, serial port, cassette, HDMI, Ethernet, and USB. And then on this side is some of the technical specs. So we have 128 megs of DDR2, 16 megs of NOR flash. The processor is an AMD, how do you say that? Z-Link, RTX 7, C64 on an FPGA, 66 keys, mechanical keyboard. We're going to compare that to the original one. We have 1080p, 50 to 60 hertz, 8 virtual SID chips, or SIDs, I should say, 2 original SID sockets, piezo tweeter, optical, SPDIF, and 3.5 millimeter out for those that do music. We do have Wi-Fi, USB-A, 1 USB-C, micro SD, and then lighting, sound, retroactive, color changing LEDs. That is not on the beige version, as you can see here. And then what's in the box? The computer itself, a wire-bound user guide with quick start, 64 gigabyte cassette style USB drive called the Very Second with 50 plus games demos. And there's some stickers, HDMI cable, and then the power supply. Now, one of the things that I have noticed already, if we see the image here, that is the same image that was on this box. So there you go. Let's do a compare and contrast. Obviously, this has got the newer interface, and then that's the older one. That's kind of cool. And then also on the back, I realized if we look at the back itself again, there's that one and this one, it's the same images. So if you have the guy here, here is that same image. Really going for that retro vibe on their box artwork. Oh, and again, if you're not familiar, those are the 3 styles. We have the basic beige, Starlight Edition, and the Founders Edition. This is what I went with because, again, I'm kind of old school that way. I'm kind of nervous about this. I have not watched all but one video online. I wanted to go into this with my own opinions. I didn't want to be swayed one way or persuaded one way or the other. So we're going to go ahead. We've cut that up and pop this out. There you go. Welcome back to the world of friendly computing. And we open this up. And you can see here we have this little card. It says, welcome to your digital oasis. We have the accessories. So that's the accessories kit. And then here is the pièce de résistance. There's our computer. We'll set that off to the side. And then we have the three-ring or the multi-ring binder. The accessory box, if we open this up, we have some stickers. A very pretty heavy-duty HDMI cable with the Commodore logo and everything. That's kind of cool. This was a problem that I saw with the one video I watched, that the cassette is like really stuck in here. There we go. Now that came out pretty good. I'll have to put that back together again. And then this is the power supply, which that should, oof, boy, that's in there. And I get it. It was probably to keep things moving around. That's our power supply. Here's our user guide. That's pretty big compared to the original. You can see that it's way heavier, and it looks even thicker than the original. Wow, that's nice. That's a hefty, hefty book. Quick start guide. Let's see if we scan through this. Color pictures. Do we have? Yes, there are some follow along programs in here. The bouncing ball. They have a section on creating audio, networking, and Wi-Fi. There's the appendices. I mean, everything that you would probably, wow. We even have, there's some pretty hefty programs to try. Giotto, Sequence, piano keyboard. Nice. That's going to be fun. And again, just to kind of give you an idea, this is what the original one looked like. And so it was not in color, it was black and white, but kind of laid out fairly similar. Let's move on to the computer. This is packaged in here pretty good. Bring that out. It's definitely got a different feel than the original Commodore. Actually, I gotta move some of this stuff out of the way. I like that keyboard. Wow. Very fun. All right, let's take a look at this. We have our control ports, our power button. It's actually the multi-function button. So we'll have to kind of read up on that. There is your 8-bit power. You also notice too, I don't know if you could see that or not, but it's translucent. You can actually see through the back. All right, on the back here, we have our memory expansion. There is an open slot. RF, I believe that's for the audio. Oh, okay, yeah. This is original word again here. RF now has been turned into the audio out. You have your video, your serial, your cassette, and then there are the additional user ports to, make this a little bit more modern, including Ethernet. Nothing on the side. And then here you go. This is what's on the back. And in case you're wondering, I did get this put back together. That's cool that it is this tape-like device, but it actually, in case you wanted to know, it's a USB connection. So let's take a look at the comparisons between the new Commodore 64 and the original. Bringing in my original bread bin Commodore. I've had this cover for a while. Let me zoom back out here real quick so you can see it all. And we're going to go ahead and ta-da! So there you go. That is the look between the two. The keys, these I'm sure have yellowed over time. Power button's in the same spot. It is exactly the same width. It does look like it's not as tall. So if we put these two side by side, and it isn't. Not that that's a big deal. If we go and look, I mean, that's about the height difference, a little less than that. I like that though, because this one kind of sits a little too high. What about the keyboard? Well, the keyboard, even just playing around with this prior to this video, I was getting this set up and playing around with it. This is definitely clickier. This is a little quieter, but I like the feel of that. If I press down, okay, yeah, I mean, there's some give here. There's some give there, but actually, again, probably older versus newer. But I really do like the feel of those keys. In case you're curious, this is the new unit on the top. And this is the original unit on the bottom. And again, you see that this has some markings here. This one does not. There's a side comparison, new one on the top, original on the bottom. All right, one new feature we have on here is this new multi-function button. I'm kind of looking at the directions here. So it's saying that when it's off, to switch on the computer, press either upwards or downwards. And then it also says when it's on, to switch off, you press down for 4 seconds. To reset, when not in menu, you're going to press up for 1 second, then release. And then to toggle to the C64U menu, you're going to just press upwards. So kind of like that. All right, so we have a basic idea. The next step is, how easy is this to swap out my current Commodore 64? Well, my Commodore 64 has always been to the left of all of the unboxings that you've seen. And it's just been sitting up here since we did some basement work. I haven't really had a chance to play with this as much, but I did do a test. We have a tape. We're going to try to load that. And we have a game. And we obviously have the computer running. This screen is a little wonky. This is an Insignia 4x3 monitor. Has multiple inputs. Love this thing. That is my main monitor for my Commodore 64. However, there's some menu issues on the side that if I press any of those buttons, it starts going wacko. So that's about as bright as I'm going to be able to make it right now. But anyways, as you can see, we have the Commodore 64 running and it works. Everything is fine. The one thing is let's say you had one, or you have one now, that is either on the fritz or not working. How easy is it to swap out this unit for the new Commodore 64 Ultimate? Well, that's what we're going to find out. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get this thing shut down, and we're going to get the power supply, get that set up, and I'm literally just going to plug everything back in, and hopefully, based on their marketing, this should all work. All right, first off, we have our power supply, which I am now dropping all over the place. Let's take a look at this display. Okay, that's pretty slick. I do like that part. Again, don't like my computer being like that, but for the power supply, kudos. And it's a standard barrel jack right there. Also, while I'm grateful that the new Ultimate is very similar to this, I am so glad that the power brick is way smaller than the original. And we're going to do this in real time. First thing we're going to do is we're going to turn off that unit, unplug everything. Obviously, I will not be using the existing power supply. Old computer, gone. New computer, in place. Plugging in the joystick. I don't need to worry about the old power supply. We're going to plug in the video. By the way, this monitor is it's connected up via S-Video. There is the disk drive. It's a little snug. And here we go with the power supply. All right, I am grateful that this is a very long lead. There we go. I'm going to plug this in. I'm actually going to plug it into the same port as the original. All right. Moment of truth. Let's see. We're supposed to either go up or down. And did you see that booted up pretty quick? I'm impressed, and it's working. So we do have some, it looks like some moire pattern going on here. I don't know if you can see it on the video. Overall, it looks pretty good. Yes, I'm sure with the HDMI connection, I would get a much better video signal. It also could be that I don't have this plugged in right. But overall, it did work. Now, the next thing that we're going to want to do is we are going to want to load the tape. And of course now I completely forgot what the name of the program was. So I guess we're going to just load, hit that, press play on tape. And I don't know if you can hear that. You can actually hear there's the piece of speaker in there is giving me the feedback on it. That's kind of nice because at least now I know where I'm at on the tape. It's market, that's right. So I'm going to do a run stop. Okay. So I'm going to rewind that. And we're going to say load market. Hit enter. Press play. Okay, found market. It should start back up here in just a moment. Market is loaded. List the program. Run it. Okay, that's exactly how it worked on the old one. Plugged it in, replaced the computer, it's working. What about chopper lifter? All right, we're supposed to turn it off is 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Power's off. Loading the cartridge onto the back. This probably will also be a snug fit since this is new. Okay, game in. Turn it back on again. Power on. Last time I went up. And there's chopper lifter. Now let's try the joystick. First sortie. I am terrible at this game. This joystick is not working very well. So far so good. All right, there we go. Get the guys. Come on. Got him. I don't even remember how I turned the helicopter around, but there you go. I don't know if this ever, you thought about it, but this always looks like a school to me. All right. Well, that works. I think we proved that you could just easily swap out an old Commodore 64 for the new one. I am seeing some artifacts issue here on the top, but I'm going to guess that's probably more. I was having issues with the original 64 with up here, but it looks cleaner. I'm going to say that. All right, one last thing before we get to the end of this video. I did want to try to get to the toggle the C64 menu, and it says I press upwards, and then there is the ultimate menu, and you can see we have disk file browser, Commodore file search, memory and ROMs, turbo boost, video setup, audio setup, joystick and controllers, LED lighting, not applicable to the 64. Network services and time zone, wired network setup, Wi-Fi network setup, modems. We also have printers. Now I have a printer. What is this? So this is just the setting it up, and probably for USB printers is going to be my guess. And then we got user interface, built-in drive A, built-in drive B, and system information. If we go and look into that, there you go. That is the information for the Commodore 64 Ultimate menu system. We're going to get into more of this information in a video coming up later this week where we're going to dive more into the Commodore 64 Ultimate. But I was hoping that this would provide at least some of you who have purchased it or are going to purchase it, the basics. I really wanted to show what the unboxing was and what was included and how easy was it to swap out. And I'm going to say that's a thumbs up. Let's take it back to the studio for my final thoughts. What are my first impressions? Well, so far I'm enjoying this updated Commodore 64. The build quality is, well, in my opinion, top notch, and the built-in HDMI, Ethernet, and USB, to me, that's a bonus. What about the keyboard? For me, I think it's an improvement when compared to my original C64 keyboard. Yes, there's a 30-year difference or whatever, but I like it. When opening up the box, the biggest question in my head was how easy would it be to just swap in the Commodore 64 Ultimate with my current setup? Well, based on the hype and the marketing, it was not surprising that it slotted right in, no issues, and you saw that. Having my existing hardware and video connections working out of the box is just a great experience. And how about that user manual? As a technical writer, I appreciate the time and effort it took to create it. And the layout, with those nods back to the original user guide, was extra nice. Kudos to Commodore for including it. While this is just my first impression review, I do have one hesitation, and it's the multi-function switch button. I think right here. The first couple of times I wasn't pressing it up or down hard enough, and when I would press it correctly, I felt like it would break. I'll be honest, I'm more confident with it now, but I wonder how well it'll hold up in the coming years of use. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. In short, I have no regrets purchasing the Commodore 64 Ultimate Beige computer. It is close to a perfect recreation of the original that I have seen. I look forward to exploring more of this computer with you all in an upcoming episode, so stay tuned for that. Well, that's a wrap for today. If you found this episode helpful, take a moment and click the thumbs up icon, and don't forget to click the subscribe button, especially if you want to watch the in-depth review and testing of this computer in a coming show. To watch another episode, you can click either here or here. And until next time, I'm going to see you again for another episode of Hey, What's Next?